Guys, welcome back. Welcome to the, I believe, fourth part of our series that we are doing this week with Miss Wendy. So Miss Wendy in the first 2 days covered main idea and creating an outline for our informative piece on the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. And then yesterday, or the previous lesson, I created an introduction paragraph lesson to teach you how to write an introduction paragraph. I know that you guys are mostly going from second grade to third grade, or you could be a third grader reviewing. So this might be a little difficult, and don't worry, don't stress too much about what is going on. Feel free to, again, pause the video at any time so that way you can restart and just get your mind going. You can feel free to watch these videos a couple times through if you're feeling a little uncomfortable with what's happening, if you're not understanding. And again, we are just going to be reading the passage. So what I want you to have in front of you right now is a pencil, a piece of paper, the outline that Miss Wendy gave you before, and the passage. And if you don't have the outline and you don't want to print it out, draw the hamburger buns and set them for introduction, the two topics that we have in our conclusion. So I just wanted to have those disclaimers before we start our lesson today. So let's get going. Let me put presentation on. And like I said, this is how to write an informative writing piece, part 4. I'm Miss Martinez. I'm so excited that you guys keep coming back to the Sun Devil Learning Lab. We really appreciate you guys watching and hope that you guys are getting a lot out of it. So let's move forward to the lesson. Are you feeling ready? Do you have your thinking caps on? Let's get going. So our goal for the day, it's just simple. I can write my first draft on the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. So we are, again, just writing our first draft. We already have our introduction, so we have our agenda. So first part, we're just going to recap or go over what we have done so far. Second, I'm going to be giving the formatting for the next paragraphs and what to expect. Third, we're just going to be talking about like what the first draft is. And fourth, we are having our conclusion. So how this lesson is going to go is I want you to be more independent today. I want you guys to either, if you're feeling super confident, write your own paper. You don't need me for your introduction and other paragraphs and conclusion. Just write your own paper, have the resources, and go for it. But if you aren't feeling that comfortable, there's no worries at all. You're just going to follow along with me. I'm going to give you some tips, but it is going to be a lot more independent. I'm just going to give you the facts, and you're going to use your own voice to write your own paper. So again, you should be feeling proud of yourself. Let's move forward. So what do we have so far? We wrote our introduction paragraph. So I have mine. I hope that you have yours on your paper in front of you. If not, pause the video and go back and write your introduction paragraph. So what I have for mine is the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is filled with at least 1.8 trillion pieces of trash. It is located in the Pacific Rim. Most of its trash comes from North America, South America, and Asia. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is contaminating the ocean and wildlife. Also, it's very difficult to clean up. So let's review the parts of the introduction paragraph. The first part is we put the grabber or the hook. It's the interesting fact, it's the question, it's the statement for what is going to get the reader interested in what is going to happen. Next part of the introduction paragraph, we have some background. That typically can be 1 to 2 sentences, but it's just going to be talking about background of what is going to be in the essay. It's not going to give away all the facts, just a little something for the reader to read and get interested in. Lastly, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is contaminating the ocean and wildlife. Also, it's very difficult to clean up. That is our thesis. So what I know from reading this last sentence is that this essay is going to be about how the garbage patch is contaminating the ocean and wildlife and how difficult it is to clean up. I'm going to have facts about it. I'm going to say it's expensive, it's time consuming. That is my introduction paragraph. And you should have one too right out in front of you. If not, copy down mine and we will move forward with that. So again, our introduction paragraph. So we have that part of our agenda done. Let's review our notes that we have in our outline. So we have the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is filled with at least 1.8 trillion pieces of trash. It's located in the Pacific Rim. Plastic breaks down and becomes microplastic, never fully dissolves. Fish mistake plastic bites for food. Plastic kills 1 million seabirds and 10,000 animals a year. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is very difficult to clean up without disturbing wildlife. It's very expensive to clean up, and it's very time consuming. It takes 67 ships 1 year, and it only equals out to 1% of the patch. So remember, this patch is estimated to be about 2 times the size of Texas, the biggest state in the United States. So just put that into perspective, how much they're supposed to be cleaning. And remember how much trash is coming from North America, Asia, and South America, and it keeps on coming. So it's kind of a little difficult to catch up. So those are our notes. What is it called, color coordinated as? Well, the red is going to be our first paragraph's facts. The orange is going to be the 3 facts that we have in our second paragraph. The yellow is our 3 facts that we have in our third paragraph. And our very last paragraph, our 4th paragraph, is our conclusion paragraph. It is just going to be the summary and overall what is happening in the paper. That is not listed because we do not need any certain facts in there. So we have all of these listed, our outlines. Feel free to pause the video and write these down and color coordinate them so we know how to write our paper. Okay, moving forward. What do you add to the next paragraphs? So you're probably feeling a little overwhelmed. That's okay, just take a deep breath. What do we add to the next parts now that you're a little bit on your own, a little bit independent? Well, you have your outline in front of you. If not, you have the notes. They have all the facts that you should have in each paragraph. Make sure to add your own voice to the paper. Remember in the last part in the introduction paragraph, I said, make sure that you're not just straight copying the facts. Make sure that you add your voice. Like I said before in the part about the located in Pacific Rim, I didn't just put located in the Pacific Rim. I said it is, and then you add more to it. That is how you write informational text, is you don't completely just copy down the facts. Lastly, we are going to be following the format of introducing, then going to background, and then having the summary. So for your next couple paragraphs, the format should be that, except for the conclusion, the next 2, the meat of the paper, should have the introduction in the first sentence, the background of what the introduction is about, and then the summary. So when we move forward, I'm going to go more in depth of what that format should look like. So paragraph 2, we have our 3 facts. Plastic breaks down and becomes microplastic, never fully dissolves. Fish mistake plastic bits for food. Kills 1 million seabirds and 10,000 animals a year. So the next paragraph should have these facts. You can have an introduction. You can say, did you know plastic affects the Great Pacific Patch wildlife? You can have a statement. After that, make sure to add these 3 facts with your own voice to it. Okay? Oop, sorry about that. Okay. Paper, it cut out, sorry. Okay, so you have those, and then your last part, just kind of summarize what you have. Okay? What should the third paragraph include? So that is the yellow highlighted part of the paper, so of the outline. So we have these 3 facts chosen. It's very difficult to clean up without disturbing wildlife, very expensive to clean up, and very time consuming. It has 67 ships 1 year equals 1% of the patch. So these are very choppy sentences. You should not be writing these down word for word in your paper. You should be adding more to it. Make sure in your first sentence that you're introducing what is going to happen in the third paragraph, the main idea of the third paragraph. Then have these facts, and lastly, have your summary. So what is very important to know is that you should not put very expensive to clean up as a fact. Make sure it makes sense. Put the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is very expensive to clean up. You can also explain the reasoning. Why is it expensive? Well, it's difficult because we cannot disturb wildlife. That could be why it's expensive to clean up. It's very time consuming, and then explain why. You can't just put very time consuming and then 67 ships 1 year. It might not make sense to people. Break it down how you want it to make sense in the paper. Okay, so you can put, it is very time consuming to clean up as it takes 67 ships in 1 year to clean. It only cleans up 1% of the patch even. All right, so that kind of makes sense how the third paragraph should look. All right, so let's move to the final paragraph. It should be the closure of the whole entire paper. It's the conclusion. So it should begin with your thesis statement. Let's go back and look at mine. My thesis statement was, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is contaminating the ocean and wildlife. Also, it's very difficult to clean up. So my entire paper needs to be on that thesis. And then when I write my conclusion, that thesis needs to be the first sentence. All right. So again, we remember with the thesis, that should be the last sentence of your introduction paragraph and should be very easy to just pull out and rewrite. Okay. It needs to include a summary of all that you put in the paper, and it should follow the big idea at the end. Okay, so that is your last paragraph, the overall conclusion of the paper. It should be pretty simple because you've written the whole paragraph, or the whole paper. And lastly, just be proud of yourself that you finished it. This was the first draft. The first draft should not be perfect. It should just be a draft. It's the first part of just writing down your ideas. I've done it before where I just wrote a bunch of random stuff down as my first draft before I made it into a final draft. And that's super helpful to some people. So, speaking of helpful, let's move on to some tips that you can follow to make this a successful first draft. Some tips that you can follow: try to find a quiet place to write and focus. Some people focus really well with some music in the background, some orchestra music, some classical, whatever helps you focus the most. If you are stuck, there was a tip that you can always start in the middle with your evidence. So you have your outline. Go ahead and write the second and third paragraph before writing the conclusion in the introduction paragraph. Sometimes it's easier for people to write the evidence and then write the introduction because they know now what the introduction should be, what the story should be about, or what the essay should be about. So if you're stuck, you can always start in the middle and just go backwards. I don't recommend writing your conclusion first though, because then that doesn't really make sense. And then again, like I said, this is your first draft. You can make plenty of mistakes. It does not have to be perfect. You can also ask for help. If there's anyone around you, any guardians, any friends, anyone, ask for help. It does not have to be perfect. And check your outline for help. Make sure that you are following along with the notes that are given to you. Make sure that you're following all the facts. Like we stated in the outline, you have to have those 3 facts for the second and third paragraph. They have to be informational. It has to have these facts to be considered informational text. So that is what we have for some tips. I also want you to know that you can do this. This should be a little difficult at first, but once we review on the final day what should be in your draft, and for your final draft, you should feel a little bit more comfortable. And again, pause at your own pace. If you want to go back in this video and go over again what should be in the second and third paragraph in the conclusion, feel free. There's no harm in that. So now we are going to get started on our first draft. So like I did last time, I want you to do a fist of 5 with how you're feeling comfortable. And I'm going to give you some tips to go back if you need help. So have our fist is you don't understand what's going on, which is totally okay. 1 is a little bit better than not understanding what's going on. You at least know that it's informational text. The second is feeling like you know it's an informational text. Maybe you have your introduction paragraph done. 3 is you have your introduction paragraph done and you're feeling a little bit confident knowing that you have the facts to write this paper. 4 is feeling a lot more confident. Average, you're probably going to get started on this paper. you are probably just going to have a little bit of a rough first draft. 5 is you're ready for your first draft. You're feeling confident and comfortable. So what do we do if we are at any of these stages? Well, if you're at this fist, I highly recommend going back and reviewing the past couple videos and just rereading the passage. Honestly, if you don't understand what's happening in the passage, read it through a couple times. And if you aren't comfortable still, look through and pick out words that you can look up definitions for if you're feeling uncomfortable. 1 and 2 are very close to being the same. You're kind of still not understanding. What I would do is go back and reread or rewatch the video about the introduction paragraph and figure out where you are in that comfortability. 3 and 4, you're feeling a little bit more comfortable. You have your facts and you're just trying to figure out how you're going to write it. Take as much time as you need. Go back if you need more help on the facts. And again, go at your own pace. 5, if you're feeling confident and comfortable, perfect. Move forward and write your first draft. Don't stress too much. Again, just follow the outline. If you're feeling at a 5, I highly recommend maybe you can even write your own facts or write your own voice. Take some of my facts out and put some ones that you feel more comfortable in. Have the formatting the same, but maybe you can even change your introduction paragraph. Change any part that you feel is good to move forward and make it your own. Use your own voice. So that was our lesson for the day. I just want to make sure that you have your tips in front of you of, going at your own pace, finding a comfortable, quiet place to start your first draft. And lastly, I just wanted to reiterate, make sure that it's not going to be perfect the first time around. There's always going to be some mistakes with grammar or whatever's in the paper. It's okay. You got this. Don't stress too much. I am going to go ahead and move out of this presentation. Here are the notes again one more time. Feel free to pause the video right here if you want to use these for your first draft to write your paper. So the red is your first paragraph, the orange is your second paragraph, and the third is your third paragraph, and then your fourth paragraph is your summary. Again, feel free to go back and watch all the tips. Well, we finished our agenda for the day. We recapped what was happening. We talked about formatting. We have our conclusion, and I hope that we accomplished the goal for the day. I can write my first draft on the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Now that we covered all of these things, it is your turn to go and write your rough draft. So good luck, guys. I will see you another time.